and just thinking about different ways how to make money, right? Going back to my notes, going back into my back end, don't feel too bad about it, but you're forcing them to not take their phone, which you then could make even more money by offering locker rental. Like all of these different tactics, we were losing a lot of money because we weren't offering the upsell. We were
trying to do. Let's talk what you trying to be. Trying to stack that money up to nobody as rich as me. Let's talk about our history. No, let's talk about that mystery. Let's sit down, have a personal talk. You gotta meet it with some action. We can show you how to walk. Ay, compounded interest.
Hey, you two, welcome back to another episode here with the one and only Z Burgot. Listen, today I just really wanted to dive into some of the questions that I've been getting over the years of how do I stay motivated? How do I think about different ways on scaling the business? And truthfully, it's when I travel. All right, what I've learned to do when I travel is to go out and engage in water sport activities because I want to be able to take the good and bad from other companies so that I can implement them back into my very own. So right now I'm here in Honduras, beautiful country. These sandflies, they eat your ass alive. But outside of that, beautiful country. I see some boats out here, not as much as I expected, but I come to places like this just to get in a different environment. Again, when I come to different countries, I want to go to the different water sport companies just so I can take the good and bad. Like, for example, I've been able to make, hundreds of thousands in the industry just by upselling videos and photos. And I wasn't able to come up with that strategy until I traveled to, I think it was Dominican Republic, and it was a water sports activity, and they offered videos and photos, and I was like, wow, I just paid, $100 and something for an hour to engage in this activity. They forced me not to have my phone, so I couldn't take pictures, which means if I really wanted to capture this experience, I would have to pay that additional money to capture it. And so I was forced into purchasing photos and videos. And so that's something that I was able to take away from that company and go back into my company and say, hey, there's people who come and they do jet skis or the boat car or the boat, and they want to be able to capture the experience. So now let's make a policy to where, you can't take phones, which really and truly, especially on the jet skis and the boat, you shouldn't really allow customers to take their phones anyway, because truthfully, both hands should be on the handlebar or on the steering wheel at all times anyway. So when you're implementing that policy, don't feel too bad about it, but you're forcing them to, not take their phone, which you then can make even more money by offering locker rental. Like all of these different tactics I've learned by visiting other companies. So I encourage you to do the same thing when you're traveling the world, when you're going, to different countries, states. Go and visit a water sports activity so that you can take the good and bad from that company and implement it within yours. Another thing that helps me come up with these different ideas is definitely just being in the environment. For me, I don't know what it is, but whenever I get around water and that beautiful blue water, I'm just at ease, I'm at peace. And so, this is one of the things that I'm working on myself, having that home that has the 14 or 20 feet clear sliding doors that walks right out to the infinity pool. And then right behind that is the crystal blue ocean water with the sand and all that good stuff. So me getting in this type of environment, I'm just at ease. I'm free. I have no worries. But it's one thing that I've taken away from Tyler Perry. And for those of you who don't know who the gentleman is, he's a film director. He's an actor. He's a writer. Anything that you name that comes to creating a show or a movie, that's Tyler Perry. But I look up to him because, one, I know his story. I know he's come from, being homeless and, just struggling through life to taking his last bit of money to pour into his plays, to his plays not doing well. But something that stood out about him to me was when he said I forgot where it is, but he has a home in a mountain somewhere, and that's the time that he used to go and write. As you know, he writes all of his shows and plays and stuff, his movies. So he simply goes there to write. And so normally when I take my vacations, of course, I indulge in the excursions and have fun. But I try to just shut everything out. I try to not be on my phone as much, not look at my emails as much on the computer. No, not too much work, but it's been a little different the last few countries I've been to. St. Martin and Cabo and here now in Honduras. Now instead of me just really kicking back and not really doing anything, I utilize this time to use that free mind and that that wusa opportunity to come up with different strategies and ways that I can make money within the water sports rental industry. All right, and so I want to encourage a lot of you to start just thinking a little differently when it comes to the water sports rental industry. One, understanding that there's not just one way of making money in the industry. Okay, you can make money in the industry by transporting boats or jet skis or boat cars or kayaks. You can do a kayak rental. You can even do snorkeling. While I'm here in Honduras, yesterday actually, I went to a private beach. It's called a Little French Key, and on this little small island, again, when I travel, I'm dissecting businesses, and the first thing that I realized was, okay, the parking was free. They have animals that's right here that you can see that's free. But when I got to the counter, I was met with probably like 6 different packages as to how I wanted to enjoy the private island. And so it was either you could pay for the cheap package, which was about $60, and that was your transportation from one part of the island to the other part, and the animals, a lunch, and something else. And then the next package was you can do snorkeling, paddle boat, you have a chair, all these different things. And so, of course, the higher it got, the more opportunity you had over on the private beach. But immediately I was like, wow, I like this. Like, whoever came up with this concept, they're smart. They took one industry and just went in almost every direction that you can almost go when it comes to being able to squeeze the limit and make money within the industry. And what I mean by that is this one company literally took $25 on a set of goggles and mouthpiece for snorkeling and probably bought all of, I don't know, maybe 200 of them one time. But then they're creating these packages that pretty much pay for what they've paid for one time so many times. And especially here in Honduras, like, them people are probably seeing every bit of 300-400 people a day because they have the different cruise lines that come in. And so in addition to coming to these different countries to enjoy it, one, and get into that free space of mind and dissect other businesses, I'm also coming up with the different packages of my own in other countries, right? Expanding outside of just DC and Cancun. Now it's like, all right, I don't watch this guy in St. Martin who take a $250,000 boat that could put 88 people in here, and he's charging them anywhere between $75 and $150 for a sunset, which is 2 hours, and all he's offering is 25-cent bags of chips and rum punch and champagne, like cheap stuff. But all alone, he's making about 20 grand every 2 hours. And so for me, it's no longer just, renting boats. It's no longer just operating for those 4 to 5 months. It's now, how do we make money 365? And so you have to come to environments like this. I'm not in front of a green screen. I'm actually at the Airbnb that we rented for the week. And just thinking about different ways how to make money, right? Going back to my notes, going back into my back end, looking at the system. All right, listen, when somebody books the jet ski, do I have that automation to where they get the jet ski and now they get a pop-up that says, hey, would you like to add the photos, right? That's something that we did, differently. One year we had the photos, but we were losing a lot of money because we weren't offering it the upsell. We were just allowing them to come in, and then when they come in, ask them if they want to take the photos or the videos. When really and truly, what I should have been doing is, as soon as they put the jet ski in the cart, now, all right, would you like to add the photos and videos right now? Because if you get it when you get in person, it's going to be higher. in addition to that, letting them know right then and there, hey, you can't take your phone out on the jet skis or the jet car, right? So putting that information in front of the customer now, right? So again, when you get environments like this, when you're able to just think freely, kick your feet up, you're able to start thinking about how to really run a business. And so that's why I be telling y'all, it's cool to that you're smart enough to go and buy the boat or the jet ski or the boat car or the kayaks or whatever is slapping on the water. But do you really understand how to run the business? And that's where a lot of my past and current mentees have failed, and even me. I just, instead of me, giving up when I was hitting those brick walls, trying to learn the business, I shifted my mindset and realized, all right, well, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta do it the right way. Let me do it for real and learn what I really need to learn. And instead of you trying to figure it out the way I did and getting pulled over, et cetera, you just come and get right into the room so that you can learn these things. Because you sometimes need that assistance with looking at the business differently, because especially if you was like me, you got to remember when I came into the business, it was a side hustle. It was just, I'm trying to make my $400 so I can pay my loan to now a full-blown commercial business. And so I encourage all of you to now start shifting your mindset to understanding that you're running a legit commercial business. And so therefore that's how we have to move accordingly. We have to operate as a commercial business. So, we can't have our cousin out there operating the boat just because we could pay him a little less than what we would pay somebody who's gone to school and gotten a captain license and have experience. I'd rather pay that person who has experience and who's been doing this for some time than to saving a couple of dollars to put somebody who's not trained out there. And speaking of training, that's another thing. Like, you have to understand that you should always be doing training. Like, you can send somebody through school, especially through captain school. Like, you spending anywhere from 40 hours to 80 hours in school, learning so much information. If you don't keep up on that information, you're going to forget it. So you should always be brushing up on your training, especially when it comes down to your CPR and first aid, when it comes down to your captains or your second mates being able to respond to a man overboard, or even out on the jet skis. Excuse me. You need to be training your staff to know how to respond to those situations. And so these are the reasons why you want to get into the room with an expert so that you learn these things when it comes down to being able to delegate it out to an employee, right? So that you can move out of the business instead of working in the business, work on the business. I've been telling one of my mentees, Clayton, down in Charlotte, I've been working with him for the last 3 years. Like, bro, you got to start shifting your mind a little bit and start pouring more into the business and get out of it, because you're answering the phones. You're doing the same thing that I was doing when I first started. Answering the phone, you're being the guy. You're trying to text back. You can't do that. You have to operate properly. You need to get systems in the back end so that when somebody book, like literally, I wish I could show you this now. Maybe I can do a screenshot and send it up. But we made $800 and something yesterday while being here in Honduras. All right, we making money while sitting here. We made like $972 over the last week that we've been here, and the season haven't even begun yet. It's still cold in DC, so I'm encouraging you to get into these environments. Go see the world. Go and visit some other businesses. See what they're doing. Implement the good things that they're doing, and then even take the bad. All right, if you go to a location and you're not greeted properly, or they don't have this thing or that thing, like, take those things back as well, because that will help you to, all right, well, in my company, I'm gonna make sure we don't do blah. Or in my company, I'll make sure that we keep some cool towels on ice, so that when the customers get off of this hot ride, we can offer them a cool rag, right? So, of course that comes with more overhead, but just being able to offer those type of services, it definitely will make you stand out from your competitors. So, again, go travel the world, go get in a space to where you could think clearly, where you're at ease, and you could come up with these different events, these different strategies, these different tactics, so that you can always be scaling. And always remember to think big. All right, don't think that you have to stay only renting out the pontoon boat, or don't think that you only have to rent out the boat car or the couple of skis. Like, when it comes down to water sports rental industry, you should definitely be looking at every year I want to scale. Every year I want to add a new piece of equipment, because there's so many ways to make money. Get in the mindset of going outside of the state, go out of the country, and get this 365 money. All right. I watched this company the other day make money on the ATVs, the horses, snorkeling, all of those things you buy one time, maybe with your jet skis. I'm sorry, your ATVs, maybe you'll upgrade those every couple of years or so. But even with that, you're spending a couple of $1,000s and you're making that right back almost immediately. So always think of different ways on how to scale and how you can add more into your fleet. Be willing to offer the snorkeling, the kayaks, the paddle boats. Like, don't think because you're not making 150 an hour that you won't make, 25 to 50. Like, all that stuff adds up. So definitely explore different ways to make money in the industry and just jump all the way out there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, make sure you tell your friends about the Boat Goat, and hopefully I'll see you on the inside. Don't forget that you actually can fill out an application right here below where you can actually work with me directly. All right. I'll see you on the inside.